Welcome to the social media classroom at the Sanctuary Institute. Today's class is on how to write a blog. It's a skill, in my opinion, that is essential for all independent firms to develop. And why is it so essential? I think it's one of the areas that is a competitive advantage for us as independent advisors, because in our old firm, we were sort of hamstrung about what we could say. We could only say what the company line was, what the house view was. And as an independent, you can create your own message and let people know what you think through social media, through writing a blog, and that's what we're going to focus on in today's class. I have walked the talk on this in the sense that I have written a lot of blogs over the 4+ years that I've been independent, and I hope you can benefit from my experience, the successes and failures, and of the 80+ blogs that I've written with my business partner, Greg Berardi at Blue Marlin Partners. So what we have created through the successes and failures of those blogs is a 6-step process that we're going to go through that we think is very helpful to you in writing a blog. We're going to start with the most important, and that is the idea generation. What are you going to write your blog about? And that can sometimes seem ominous, and I'm not minimizing the fact that it's challenging, but I'm going to give you some steps that we go through to come to the ideas that we write our blogs about. The first thing we do to come up with an idea, you're already doing, and that is we read a lot. Industry periodicals, the main newspapers like the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, our local newspaper, and we listen to podcasts that are on subject matter that we think our clients will care about and that we care about. The next thing that we do is we disconnect, because part of the creative process is tapping into your right brain, which is known for all of the idea generation and the artistic ideas that will come up that are essential to write a blog. So disconnecting is getting away from your office, which is focused on tasks and really left brain items, and relaxing and trying to activate your right brain to create ideas. Next, and finally, is when that right brain does connect and start to help you generate ideas, is when they come up, you need to record them. You need to write them down on a notepad, or record the idea on a voice memo on your phone. All right, you're going to end up then with a lot of ideas. And what we've found is those ideas fall into 4 main areas. The first area is a current event. It's a topical idea. The second area is it might relate to your business or our industry. The third, and probably the most successful in our experience in our blog writing, has been around emotional topics that really give people a insight into how you think and feel. And then the fourth area is to choose a subject that you know is controversial, but you have a opinion on, and your opinion on that is usually controversial. Those four main areas are where your ideas will be categorized. And then what you need to do next is take your ideas and cull them down even further, and to work with your colleagues at your firm to say, here are my ideas. Let's choose the best three. And then take those three after you have them down to a final idea that you're going to write the blog on. So now you've chosen your topic, and this is where you get into the mechanics of writing your blog. So what I do is my first step in writing the blog is like anything you've written in your schoolwork is I write an outline. All of my outlines have three main ideas that I am going to develop, and they have a headline. And interestingly and uniquely, I've learned through other great writers is I write my closing sentence, because the closing sentence is the message that you're going to leave your readers with, and you need to get that right. So you write the closing sentence, and then you make sure the blog leads you to that in a effective way. As I mentioned earlier in this program, is the ideas that are going to generate your blog typically come from other publicly available outlets, whether it's a newspaper or somebody else's blog or a podcast. And so I use those sources. I have links to those sources to support my my outline, and I include those in my outline. So now you have your outline, and you have your closing sentence and headline, all the things that you need to write the blog. I have, and I encourage you to find a editor and partner that helps me take that outline and make it and convert it into a blog. So who I work with is a PR and marketing firm here in San Francisco called Blue Marlin, and Greg Berardi is the founder and head of that firm. And Greg is an ex-journalist, and he only focuses and supports people in our space, so he understands our business. So what Greg and I do is we have a routine, and he's very helpful to me in that he calls me and makes sure I write a blog every 2 weeks. And that is priceless for me, and has been essential to the continued success of our blogging strategy. So what I do is I pitch Greg the story like I'm pitching him as a journalist. I go through my outline. I pitch it to him and give him all of the information he's going to need to take my outline and my pitch and make it into a blog. Greg will ask me questions if I'm not clear. And then he will take that dialogue in that meeting and come back to me with the first draft of the blog. So Greg then sends me the first draft of the blog, and I take that first draft and begin to add my edits to it, because Greg might not have gotten every concept right, or you know what? I might not have been that clear on presenting the concepts that I wanted to make sure were conveyed in the blog. This editing process typically goes back and forth a couple of times until we end up with a final version that we both agree, all right, this is it. This is the final. Once we have a final version, we have one more step. And that is a step that I have actually gleaned from other great blogs that I read, and that is adding pictures to your blog to enhance the 2 or 3 big concepts that you're trying to make in your blog. And pictures plus the prose, we have found, do a much better job. So I go and I find pictures, all of them stock photos that don't have a copyright attached to them, and I want to emphasize that because that's pretty darn important, because if you use a picture, you want to make sure that it is in the public domain, and that's what a stock photo is that doesn't have any photographer's copyright attached with it that you need to pay to use the picture. If you don't do that, I will tell you from personal experience that the person who did take the picture that you might be using and copywriting it will find you and will say, hey, you need to pay me for that picture. And just preempt that and use stock photos. There's plenty of great stock photos that you can use to get your blog out there. All right, it's go time. It's time to publish your blog that you've just written. And that is an involved process as well. Involved in that you want to publish your blog on numerous social media platforms, because each social media platform has a different readership, and you want to make sure that you cast as wide of a net as you can. What we use, and I would encourage you to use in this endeavor, is a firm called HubSpot. And HubSpot does 2 things. One, it publishes your blog on these social media platforms, but it also sends out an email to your subscriber list of readers for your blog, and then it tracks how many people read the email, open the email, and even more importantly, not just open it, but actually read it. This is invaluable information, and information that we never really had at our fingertips before social media. It is data-driven, and so it actually provides you with real honest feedback on your blog. Did it resonate with your audience, or was it sort of a dud? And I will tell you, in my experience, that I am always surprised by the response. The positive response for blogs that I might not think are that great, or the no response for the blogs that I thought were phenomenal. This whole process of social media and blogging is something, as I started this training session with, that is, I think, is really important and something that is worth spending your time to really up your game to be able to do this, to to promote yourself and your business. And it is something that I would just encourage you to try it. It it initially is going to be a lot of work, but by trying it, I think you will also start to see this is one of the most efficient ways to get your message out there. Thank you for joining us, and I'll see you in the blogosphere.